Hello and welcome to our post-Euro 2020 final chat. I'm joined by Daniel Ojo, and the circumstances surrounding after the final were disgraceful, weren't they?
Even before the penalty shootout, literally, I already knew that if a black England player missed a penalty, I already knew the backlash from let's say inside the media, inside the pubs and on social media. So I already knew the backlash that people would get, especially those black players being so young.
So how do you feel about that personally, already having that feeling before even the final whistle, and then when we had the penalty shootout and Rashford, Saka, Sancho all missed their penalties?
Um, it didn't feel, how would I say it? It wasn't nothing new. I already knew what was going to happen even before they took up. So I didn't really have no emotion. I just felt heartfelt. I just felt some sympathy for all three of them that missed, because especially Sancho and Rashford, because they barely got a touch of the ball, and they were asked to take a penalty to win the Euros for England, which was a massive thing. So just pressure on
Um,
them.
that's mostly the thing. Shouldn't we be celebrating these players? Look what Rashford's done this year. Rashford's done work. Rashford has done work that the Prime Minister hasn't. He's helped so many children out, and he's been such an inspiration. You have Sancho, who's been ripping it up in Germany. You have Saka, so young, playing for Arsenal and being one of their star players this season. And they come into the Euros, all of them played their part. And then with Bukayo Saka taking that last penalty, that straight after, well, going into the final, you saw the England fans breaking into the stadium. You saw England, but there are players. Surely, when there are players, they're English players. They're playing for England. How can you be racist to someone who's from your own country? Be racist in general, but how can you be racist to someone from your own country as well?
Yeah, I get what you mean, because some may see them as English British, or some just see them as from their ethnic minority background. That's how it is, really. Just It's a shame to see now.
But they're representing the country. And my overall feeling coming home today, after last night's game, my overall feeling was ashamed. Um, I felt like the players deserve to win, but the fans did not deserve for us to win the final, because the fans have. I mean, I've seen it with, obviously, with Manchester United as well. With Rashford's been abused when we lost the Europa League final.
Yeah.
You see it with that as well. It's almost like it's such a normality, and it's got to a stage for me where with social media, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, well,
Does
social,
that
yeah.
do you feel like
Um,
that's something? If they don't change soon, there's going to be worse consequences.
yeah, because for me, what everyone's been pioneering for is the ID for all that, so for people to put the ID on social media platform to use it. I think it's a good idea, but I don't know. Some people they'll take it extreme anyway, so they might as well do the racist remarks, even if with the ID on social media, etc.
But what will it take for social media companies to react? Because as you said, you expected that after the final. We've seen it when Manchester United were in the final. We've seen it with Manchester City players. We've seen it with a lot of players this season, and it's been probably this season the most we've really seen.
Uh, what would I say? I would say, God forbid, but it'll take like the death of like a high level athlete that's been getting racially abused for social media companies to actually wake up and make a change for once in their life.
And it's something as simple as ID checks. And I was thinking this earlier. It's become more about lining your own pockets. Well, you look at what happened with the ESL and how quickly they got that to stop the European Super League, but they can't act out against racism.
the Super
Uh,
League was like one of the first, was from the way that they disbanded, let's say, sort of the Super League that quickly. It made me think that they can really help with the racial abuse that players and fans get at times, but they just don't. I would say they don't try, but it's like empty gestures. So let's say like an armband, or like after lockdown, the Black Lives Matter on the back of their t-shirt, black of their jerseys. So just empty gestures. But with the Super League, you saw how they were quick to like turn that down, because the one thing that would have hurt them is the money that they would have got from the clubs and etc.
I've just got a quote here. This was back when the Super League stuff was happening. It's a quote from Patrick Bamford. It's amazing the amount of uproar as well that comes into the game when somebody's pockets are being hurt. It's a shame it's not like that with all the things that go wrong at the minute with racism and stuff like that. It's almost like, with being completely honest, I think it's an absolute disgrace that social media companies have let this go on for so long. And they have this. It's one of the, for me, I look at it, it's one of the easiest things to do, introduce those checks, because then the people who abuse players, the disgraceful people who abuse players, will not get away with it. I think Rashford, there's a tweet from Rashford that there was a maths teacher who was sending him racist comments. A maths teacher who teaches our young, like the young children in society, and he can just get away with making comments like that.
Yeah, the one I saw from this morning was some guy. Well, obviously I can't say the tweet was basically racial towards the players that missed the penalty last night. Then people found his LinkedIn profile, and he was like a manager of like someone massive. So which is so crazy to see, in my opinion.
It's almost a feeling of hopelessness now.
Yeah,
Like, everybody going into last night, I myself as an England fan felt a bit apprehensive, because I knew that there's that, it's a minority, it's a small minority, but there's a minority of fans that there's violence, there's racist abuse, they go to a football match to get in trouble.
yeah,
On Wednesday I went to watch England Denmark at Wembley with my mum, and I was there and I was worried, because my mum's Danish and she's wearing a Danish shirt, and you're almost there and you're thinking, so an England fan could just come up and target, because it's a Danish fan, it's not an England fan. If it wasn't with my mum, I'd be so worried. That, I mean, I heard about England fans spitting at Danish fans. It's
yeah,
almost like the whole kind of enjoyment that this tournament has brought to us, the players have brought to us, been ruined by a small minority. And it's the fact that almost you feel as a fan that other fans don't deserve the feeling of success that the players can bring to us.
yeah. It's a shame, because I feel like the abuse after the game has really made people like stop and actually talk about the actual game, which was actually a good game, if I'm really honest. The final.
And how does it make you feel personally, seeing these comments happen to
Um,
us?
I just feel really. I feel for the players, if I'm really honest, that are getting this abuse. Although some may not actually use their social media, like people are using it for them, I still think that the into players like seeing this like firsthand, they'll feel so like disgruntled, so like unmotivated to even want to play football, if I'm really honest.
And in terms of society, do you think, obviously players have been taking the knee um, for a long time now? I don't know, how long has it been, do you think, since?
Since it'll be probably, yeah, it's probably around a year now, because they started playing football around July again after lockdown.
After that, obviously what happened with George Floyd,
Yeah,
and it's a message of equality, it's a message of opportunity, fighting against all types of discrimination. And then you have the Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying comments like, he's not against people booing players taking a knee. And it's almost like that message is such a powerful message, but it's losing its power because people just don't seem to care.
Yeah.
But obviously the Euros being a tournament that it's sad to be in this position today where we're speaking like this, because the Euros is something that has been massive for everybody. Like we've been able to see fans in the stadium again. It's felt like normal life again. It's felt like obviously seeing different cultures, different people all around Wembley, enjoying that game, England-Denmark, enjoying England, or enjoying the players creating those incredible memories. And suddenly the small minority can make everyone feel so hopeless again and make everyone feel ashamed. And today, just being on the train, I just feel just ashamed to be English in a sense.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't feel like that, because it's that minority that almost make us feel that way. And it's obviously, we've said what needs to be done, but how much longer can it go on like this?
Yeah. For me, it's not much a football problem. It's a society problem as well, racism. Because I feel like once it gets, I wouldn't say stop. Once it gets like decreased in society, or like in football, we should be able to see the change in football as well. But the problem is with like the people higher up, for them, racism is like, for them is like handing out empty gestures. So let's say like I said before, the armband and the Black Lives Matter. For me, it doesn't really do anything. Like for example, we saw when Glenn Kamara got racially abused by that Slavia Prague player. Not much was done apart from what, a 10-game ban. If they're really serious about clamping down on racism in football, they should threaten like club like points deductions for clubs, and let's say lifetime ban for players and hefty fines.
It goes back to, you have obviously Anton Ferdinand, John Terry. You had that incident. You had the fact that no one was believing what was being said.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe him because the video evidence is there. That's all you need. Yeah.
Seeing the documentary where the emotions, how much he struggled from that, and how the people in charge of making sure this type of thing doesn't happen are so oblivious to it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I remember the documentary did like a couple of months ago. The video literally there of John Terry saying what Anton Ferdinand thought he said, and still couldn't do anything significant to punish him.
And it's almost, I said this in terms of being a football fan, it's taking that love out of the game.
Definitely, because let's say like someone growing up, let's say like 10 years old, seeing like people of his color getting racial abuse for doing like for playing bad, they'll probably be demotivated to play that sport, if I'm really honest, and they'll go and look for somewhere else to try and play another sport.
It would make you feel scared at that age to follow your dreams, to follow what you want to do and what you want to become, because you see the reaction you could get if you miss a penalty. Marcus Rashford has done some incredible things in his career. Obviously, I remember against PSG, scored the winning penalty, and everyone was absolutely in just such an amazing mood after that, and like everyone was saluting him. And then suddenly, last night, hadn't played more than 90 minutes in the tournament. He comes on in a high pressure situation. He steps forward and says he'll take the penalty. And yes, he misses. And yes, Jadon Sancho missed, Bukayo Saka missed. But the most important thing I think we should remember is the courage, the resilience, the bravery to step up to the spot and take such an important penalty for the country, having obviously not reached a major final for 55 years.
Yeah, I feel like the the occasion of England getting to the final was a bit overshadowed by the racist remarks. As I thought England they played well to get to the final, and we all saw how united the country was, which is the first time I've seen a country happy like that since like 2018 Russia, which says a lot really. But now that with obviously with all of them missing their penalties, I just feel really sad for them. But I hope that they come back stronger for next season. They're all massive players for their clubs, in particularly Saka.
And just almost speaking about the World Cup in wintertime next year. So we've got over a year until that. How much can we change in that time to make social media, to make abuse a lot less?
The only thing I can think of at this moment is just to verify like people's social media account, because I've seen some crazy tweets over the past 24 hours. I've seen some people like gain followers because they said something racist, which I still think is mad to me. So I just feel like the only thing I can think of is account verification of social media.
And for me, it's being held accountable. That I think that's the most important thing, being held accountable for your actions, because so many people feel like they can get away with saying stuff like that because they won't get caught. And as an individual, the first thing that should happen when you post a comment like that, when you're a keyboard warrior, when you hide behind that and you abuse players, the first thing that should happen is you should be arrested. There should be serious consequences for those comments.
Yeah, like we saw someone racially abused Wilfred Zaha on Instagram, and when the police found him, he was only like 13, which I still think is crazy to me. Like how you can have such a negative way of thinking at that young age.
And how about for you? How does it feel? I'm trying to almost get this question across in the best way possible. How does it feel to you in terms of the Prime Minister of the country, Boris Johnson, his comments?
Well, in the case of Boris Johnson, I just feel like his comments were almost fueling the racist remarks, if I'm really honest, because him and Priti Patel were basically saying that they're against footballers taking the knee, which I think is crazy, because if they say they want to make racial change in the UK, then they're basically giving fans the fuel to be racist by saying that even our own prime minister doesn't support the taking of the knee, for example. So I feel like for someone so high up, as in the prime minister, say that he's against the knee, and he's not mad about people doing it, but it sounds so barbaric, if I'm really honest.
And I think the last message we can leave on here is togetherness. That's the most important thing I see. What I've seen since the final whistle yesterday: the togetherness from the teammates, the togetherness from the clubs on social media. They want to stamp this out. Scott McTominay messaging on Instagram to Rashford, to Sanchez, to Saka, showing his support, seeing players showing their support, players from teams from Scotland, from Norway, all giving that same message. And I feel like it's so important to keep on spreading that message, although we're not seeing change at the moment. We're not seeing any change, and that's the most irritating thing. But it's keep on spreading that message that online abuse is not all right, will never be all right. It's disgraceful. It's something that deserves punishment, and it's something that, as a society, we need to get a grip of, because as a society, I feel like we can say anything we want now and not face the consequences. A small minority who think that. As a society, we need to make sure that we keep on spreading that message and hoping that social media companies will make that change, because that change needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with everything you said there. I just hope by 2022, I just hope there's a better relation with race between the Premier League and people that are actually being abused by racial remarks.
Definitely.